another one, training. You know, within 12 months after taking office, you know, the duties is having training. So we need to have one or two people complete the training, which is I believe it's a 10-hour training requirement on money safeguards.
Page top of page 9.
One more thing to go to. That about sums it up.
Thank you again for your work, Jason. I've read this, my family especially finished with his pretty standard form. As he said, they basically redid this off the policy that the city approved. It is going to take a lot more monitoring and all, just like the collateralization. Having to make sure you get their monthly reports for your security pledges and make sure they're maintaining 103. You need to get those. You need to sign off on them, showing that you did the numbers, did not get them in file, training. It's a good thing to have. Thank you so much, Jason, for the work on this. Any other questions, committee members on this?
Okay, just for clarification, so we're going to add down there the delegation of authority, treasurer and executive director. Do we want to put / interim executive director?
I think we would. And since Mr. Rosenberg provided this draft, I believe it might behoove you just to get him to give your, where we're going to add in lieu of, him or something, and that's correct. And then on top of page 3, changing that to meeting the others. Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Floresville Economic Development Investment Policy.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Teakin. All in favor? What further, is there any further discussion?
Well,
With the
do
changes,
we need to, would you
the-
like to amend your motion?
with the changes.
To indicate changes on authority and in the absence of
Okay.
key people.
Any other comments? So that's all in favor of approving with the amendment an investment policy for LPDC as presented, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Word H, discussion, consideration, and action review request by Park Patterson. This is Floresville Oak Hill Apartments, who we talked about earlier, for regarding infrastructure, electric and water work completed in Veteran Park in Floresville. I'm going to speak and talk for around just a second and correct me if I misstate anything. Approximately 2 weeks ago, a week ago or so, Park Patterson, who is the developer for these apartments out there, contacted around and said basically that it was represented to him that all the utilities, water, electric, sewer, and all, was available on that side out there, and it was also posted in the advertisement that it was all available. He said that when he started doing this, that it was not as represented, and he has attached invoices totaling $95,000 that the utilities were not out there as represented. Ram went over last Friday and visited, was going to see Mr. Patterson, who he thought would be on site, and he wasn't. But he ended up visiting with the superintendent to ask him about this and all. But before that, Ram had went and visited with the city and felt before the electric and water were available out there at site. And Ram's going to show you in just a moment that they are available to the site. As the superintendent acknowledged to Ram was that Well, they may be available to the site, but they're not where he wanted them, something to that effect. Ram, would you like to go ahead and continue on?
As Andy indicated, this is the site of the apartment. This is the Loop 181 right here. Yeah, this is Paloma Drive. And this is where it ends right here, you know, these are our apartments. Water to here is right here, which is right across the road.
And that's not a paved road.
It's not paved. It will be one of these days, but not yet. So water is within.
Across the street.
And what side water line is that?
I believe it's, I think it's marked 406. I think it's got a number there. It's a big one. Six.
Well, it says 10-inch right here. 10-inch water line?
That's good. Okay. The other is the electricity. As you know, electricity runs down 181, Blue 181 all the way, you know, across. There's a pole right at the corner of the site, right here. So that's where they connected.
And they put in poles all the way back
Yeah,
here.
Right.
You know, but that's their property. I mean,
Well, you know, their argument was that it was promised that it would be on the, you know, to the adjacent to the property. Well, it is adjacent to the property, as far as I'm concerned. Water, same one, it's right across the street.
have you looked at the contract to see what it says in the property sale?
Nothing, other than the contract.
Why would you think?
There's nothing in the contract that says that, you know, and this is like the one that we discussed previously, you know. And, they did run, they did have some overrun in their expenses and so forth. And, but, that's not our problem.
Now, from the business loop, they did run lines from there, the main road. I noticed them laying pipe. Was that sewer?
I believe so.
So that was probably sewer going up Paloma Drive that they ran and tied into.
Yeah. But they're concerned with water and electricity.
But isn't there fire hydrants in front of Paloma Drive?
Yeah.
So,
Ram was gonna try to find out where he was thinking it wasn't available, but again, he wasn't.
Well, the bottom line is if we can prove that it was available, and that's what he is saying, that it's not available, but it was, then what's the argument? It just wasn't where he wanted it.
Right.
Let me read you this verbatim. Regarding our site in Floresville, we were informed by the Floresville EDT from the very beginning and at our initial site visit that the site had full utility and infrastructure for a planned 250 units of apartment. In fact, the FEDT website states that all city utilities and services available, that's quote unquote, for the property. Therefore, this site became the most attractive versus other sites. During development, we have experienced a lack of full water and electrical service necessary to service the development. The cost to obtain necessary service tools approximately $95,000. See the attached invoices. We request that the Floresville EDC consider reimbursing for the extra cost for water and electricity so we told that full service was available. Now, I don't know, from reading this, he's saying full service, it wasn't to the service level that he wanted for 250 apartments, or if it was a 220 and he needed a 440.
But if you were gonna invest that much money, wouldn't you have that down pat before you brought out your bulldozer?
yeah, that's basically,
But this isn't me.
you know, that's part of the planning phase that your engineers and everybody that you hire to build this stuff is going to check out before you commit to your buying the property, or you would have that in the discovery phase or feasibility period.
Ram went to try to talk to them. They wasn't available at that time. They felt they needed to bring this up. and for consideration and action, I think it, and you might say it'd probably be prudent for us to table this until we can actually meet with them to define what they saying was lacking. Is it service wasn't available at the spot, or the service that was available is inadequate, or is there some other item? We just don't know what he's complaining about at this point in time.
Well,
And the superintendent, you know, we've done, you know, we tied in everything already.
It was
From
there.
where it was, from where it was, you know, electricity.
yeah,
water.
why does this come up how many months after the whole project's been started? I mean, that's the first thing you put in, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty
There's
vague.
no
What's the
contract
date
at all
of that
with
letter?
isn't
This is dated June the 3rd.
We got it on Thursday.
Fact is, I actually think you.
I think you should address that situation there before you even broke ground like you did.
All I know is the bank that I have built and all, part of my due diligence, if we go out there, even if somebody tells you something, is we still check it out and verify and validate. But, that's just the way I did building other banks and whatnot. So I don't know what his practice is, if he took our word at it. I'm just pointing out, this is what he said. And at this point in time, I don't think he has sufficient information to make a decision. We reimbursing part of all of it, so we don't really know what he's complaining.
So all we do know is where the electric and water were prior to breaking ground. We know exactly where those connections were.
Well,
That's all we
even
know.
if we have a future visit, I don't really see what the point is, because there's nothing in a contract that obligates us to pay for this. And if the utilities were available, that's a pretty broad statement. And this is a lot of money.
They paid it already, my understanding.
Right.
From the superintendent.
Right, but then, you know, we have no other third parties saying that we were in this meeting and we were saying that this took place.
He's saying that it was in the advertising.
All city utilities and services available.
Available, that's the word I'm
Why did
on.
they wait so long? Why don't they first start this?
So from Ram conversation, it appears that the city is representing they were available and it felt that it was available.
That's where they go, pick up electricity on that.
So you don't take action on it then? You have a decision what you're gonna propose?
Well, I mean, what's the ramifications? Well, so, I mean, what are their grounds? I mean, come on.
But they need to prove it.
You know, what I was thinking of was, you know, hopefully that he'll come down, you know, to the site and Pat, and let me have a meeting with him, show him, you know, this
That's
is
where
where,
the talk is.
No, it doesn't hurt to talk to anybody, and so I don't want to make a rash,
Yeah.
you know, just a rational decision, but.
electricity was here, you know, and water was over here. You did hook up back across the street, hooked up back to your complex, you know, from the, Route 181, you know. Where is the problem, you know, with?
Might I suggest that we write a letter back and we say, we were surprised by this allegation, and our information is that the electricity was here, give a location, and the water hookup was here, and we don't understand what the miscommunication would have been. I think it'd be better to put it in writing than just have it, I mean, he's put this in writing, let's put ours in writing.
And you can do that, but you're basically opening the dialogue for communication is what we're talking about there. I concur.
Well, I think probably the smart thing then would be to probably table this, unless we just state that we want to reply with a letter.
Well, you can state in the letter that you obviously have a difference of opinion, and could we set up a meeting? Instead of it being missing phone calls.
Yeah, well, let's set up a meeting and let's talk about it.
Okay, so we're gonna table it for consideration, but we're gonna open a dialogue, including in writing.
I personally would think writing would be better, because if this thing goes further, we need to show that we, in good faith, we're trying to meet with them.
Okay,
Well, then the other part of that recommendation would be is that letter need to come from an attorney.
now you wanna put that in, one of you in the form of a motion here?
Well,
You know, Covenant Howard.
yeah. Well, I would recommend that we reply to his letter with our understanding to an attorney being Howard Bertram.
Okay. I have a
Cordial,
motion that we.
we want it cordial,
Yes.
you know, everything.
I understand. So the motion is that we're going to acknowledge receipt of the letter and have our attorney, Howard Berger, reply to this letter for information gathering, meeting, et cetera, providing information. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mary Helen Deacon. Any additional discussion? If not, all in favor of tabling the request by Park Patterson to reimburse for that, but instead sending a letter from Howard Berger to them to this, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Now I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss the discussion regarding sale of approximately 4.39 acres of property owned by, property that we own to next and adjoining to F&W Electrical Contractors in Rockville, Bryan. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion to go into executive session.
We have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.